Candela Obscura is a secret society of investigators whose primary aim is the survival of mankind against supernatural forces. Your involvement with the organization begins with the mysterious tales set in the Fairlands within Hale. However, their origin predates even the city of Old Fair. In ancient times, the ruling class of Old Fair used and abused the powers of magic, deeming themselves alchemists. As with any development that eases the burdens of daily living, the citizens of Old Fair embraced the technological advancements born of this power. Out of either irreverence or ignorance, the corrupting force of bleed soon took over the city. Supernatural forces from this disaster tore a chasm into the sea, and Old Fair was overtaken by a great flood. Before its fall, after the first signs of the civilization's destruction, a covert alliance of altruistic scholars arrived in Old Fair. With a history of setting their chapter houses around locations of high magical incursion, this was the beginning of Candela Obscura within the Fairlands. Almost all written records from Old Fair were buried with the city, but it's clear that all the centuries that followed, this chapter of Candela Obscura slowly expanded in both size and influence. For centuries, Candela Obscura has utilized lighthouses around the world to hold together a large rifts in the flare. So the flare, I think that was our boundary between us and powerful magic, like another dimension or something, right? And to warn away innocent civilians from the dangerous magic that passed through. These lighthouses can be found all across the Fairlands, deep in the Scarlet Wood, tucked within the snow of the Bridlebane Mountains and the bottom of the vast chasm and beyond. Their strange locations have resulted in homespun, though inaccurate, folklore about the purpose of their structures and the surrounding geography. These formidable structures are modeled after Candela Obscura's central lighthouse, a massive magical vault known as the Pharaohs. Over the centuries, the Pharaohs has risen and fallen to the forces of magic, and today the Citadel is in its fourth iteration. After the fall of the third Pharaohs, the organization's Council of Lightkeepers found a way to access the flare, the protective veil between realms, and constructed the fourth Pharaohs within its bounds. Now straddling the mundane and magical worlds, this vault is only accessible from specific thinnings that lead to the flare. Chapter houses soon began to form around these special thinnings, creating a present-day network of Candela Obscura members around the world. So members of the Candela Obscura values. Members of the Candela Obscura are protectors of the people. With their wealth of supernatural knowledge passed through generations, they focus their work on collecting and studying magical phenomenon. Atmosphere. Libraries full of ancient and esoteric literature, working by candlelight, formal attire, strange artifacts in glass cases, secret entrances, and hidden pathways. So, key assets. The fourth Pharaohs, a vault located within the flare that houses the phenomenon to keep from corrupting the world with bleed. Chapter House Archives. Every chapter house, the secret meeting location of each Candela Obscura circle, contains a highly protective collection of books, artifacts, and records. Lightkeepers are veteran members of Candela Obscura who retired from fieldwork. They oversee circles of investigators, sending them out on assignments. Neutromancer says, I don't know how many places were named by Matt Mercer in general. I don't like how he names things. So there's something about, there's a Matt Mercer way of naming things. I wouldn't have picked up on that. Yeah, so this is the setting that's in the show. So this is what's being run in the show. As far as that would be my guess anyway, because I have not watched it yet. Okay, so key assets, figures. What's the last thing in here? Additional organizations. Across the world, other organizations form to manage magical phenomenon. Some offer protection, others seek profit, and still seek the total eradication of magic. Each group employs different tactics according to their unique ethos. For the purposes of the Quick Start Guide, there are two organizations you might encounter. The Exoteric Order of the New Sciences. Founded by a small faction of scientists and occultists, this insidious cohort believes in the very public incorporation of science with magic. Values. The first true occult power of the century, eons, adheres to a daring set of tenets. The old societies have failed mankind, and it's now time for bold action. Their opportunistic viewpoints have resulted in a rivalry between eons and Candela Obscura. Atmosphere. Laboratories with beakers and brass. Industrial spaces, upscale businesses, dense files, hastily scrawled notes, dangerous experimentation, electricity, and alchemical symbology. The Devil's Well. Located under the glass sea, this was an attempt by eons to create a vault styled after the fourth Pharaohs. Galvanica Engineering Works. Located in the steel, this laboratory is the home to many of eon's top minds and their experimental works. Adjuvant, an experimental antidote for bleed, or rather an attempt to stop the negative human reaction to the natural phenomenon of bleed. Office of Unexplained Phenomenon, OUP, an underfunded and undervalued division of the periphery. Omnipresent but invisible to normal society, the Office of Unexplained Phenomenon specializes in the discovery, analysis, and suppression of magical phenomenon. The OUP's primary goal is to keep knowledge of magical abominations from the public, and they will go to great lengths to do so. They may collaborate with Candela Obscura, but their bureaucracy is likely to do more harm than good. Atmosphere, government buildings, sterile offices, redacted files, confidentiality, red tape, uniforms, manipulated laws. I do the little atmosphere. Couple of lines here. I think that's fun. The Rediker Room. Founded in 1883, this location houses a number of magical phenomenon unknown to the world, to the public. The Safe device, named for the person that created it, this device can be used to detect bleed on an object, place, or person. Grace Slate Sanatorium, the asylum located in the Citadel. It's often used to hide away civilians and agents who are subjected to too much bleed. The OUP frequently uses the slang, "they're going gray," in reference to this facility and the effects of the bleed. Okay, that's it.